Amber's going to share her screen. Welcome, everybody. My name is Bridget Legault. I'm the community manager down in Calgary. Thanks, Lan, for getting the conversation going with some newer faces to the community. We hope there are a few in there. For those of you who are new, a very warm welcome. We are very pleased to have you. Feel free to introduce yourself in the chat, and others who've been around the block will do the same. I'm going to pass it over to my colleagues, Amber and Lan. I'm not sure which of you wants to do the land acknowledgement, but I'll throw it over to you guys.
Amber, you want to take the land
Flip a coin?
Yeah, for sure. All right. So in the spirit of reconciliation, we want to acknowledge that we live, work, and play on traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, the Siksika, the Kainai, the Piikani, the Tsuut'ina, the Stoney Nakoda Nations, and the Métis region, the Métis Nation Region 3, and all the people who make their homes in the Treaty 7 region of Southern Alberta. And for those in the Edmonton area, we acknowledge the traditional lands of the Treaty 6 territory of the Cree, Dene, Blackfoot, Saulteaux, Nakota Sioux, as well as the Métis. These sacred gathering places provide us with an opportunity to engage in and demonstrate leadership on reconciliation. We want to thank you for your enthusiasm and commitment to joining Rainforest Alberta and doing so. And if you are coming from somewhere that isn't in Alberta, we invite you to share your own land acknowledgement in the chat with us. So I will pass it on to our wonderful co-host, Lan, to tell us a little bit more about Rainforest Alberta.
Thank you, Amber. And I am proudly dialing in from Edmonton, Treaty 6 land. Welcome everyone to Rainforest Alberta and to our marquee event every Wednesday at lunchtime, Lunch Without Lunch. This is a community of innovators, doers, dreamers, connectors, and builders. And together we will level up our innovation ecosystem. Next one, Amber. The video.
What does it take to realize an idea? Or for a seed to sprout? At Rainforest Alberta, we know the answer is rooted in trust. Traditionally, Albertans have cultivated their ideas in established systems. Inputs that don't fit these systems are weeded out. Opportunities for growth are missed. But now, Albertans want a dynamic landscape that can evolve organically, like a rainforest. At Rainforest Alberta, we believe a culture of trust is the
Amber, are we good to go, or?
Our budding innovation ecosystem is a network of relationships pulling each other up.
I can't see the chat here, so go ahead.
Good. Everybody can hear me?
Just a second, guys.
Breaks down barriers.
Nick, sorry, just a second. We're just doing a little bit of an intro to the rainforest. There's a video playing right now.
Successful breakthroughs inspire new ideas.
Can't see that on mobile.
Begins. Rainforest Alberta is a movement to amplify trust by cultivating honesty, inclusion, and accountability. How? Our social contract holds us accountable to demonstrate trust across the province. We meet to have honest conversations around collaboration. This leads to more inclusive spaces for everyone to fearlessly build new ideas together. By raising the standard of trust, Alberta's ideas, talent, and resources can be evergreen. Visit rainforestab.ca to sign the social contract and start growing together.
Awesome. That is, we are a community coming together and building trust. So there's 6 different pillars that we look at, and that's culture, leaders, resource, engage, activities, policy, infrastructure, and role model. And all of you here, you are, participating and contributing to all these 6 pillars. And with us as a community, we mainly contribute to the culture section where we are really, fostering the trust among all of us. Next one, Amber. So a few tips here. Feel free, as Bridget mentioned earlier, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. And there's always people come and go for every Lunch Without Lunch. Connect with each other through direct messaging. Put your camera on so we can all see who you are and see your smiles. And feel free to ask questions. And there is a Rainforest Slack workspace. So if you have signed the social contract, you will also get access to that. And in there, it's just a wealth of information about everything that's going on in the community in both Edmonton and in Calgary. And then check out hashtag lunch notes in the Slack group for today's chat. And of course, the Lunch of Our Lunch recording will be posted on YouTube as well. So awesome stuff. And pay it forward. That is one of my favorite one is, just do it, do things and then whatever, and we amplify it as we move forward and just help each other out. So maybe I should read the details, which I think is very important. Is that for every introduction I get, I will provide an introduction to another person. For every hour of advice I receive, I will give an hour of advice to someone else. For every risk someone takes with me, I will take a risk with a different person. And as we do that, it snowballs and it just elevates and lifts the community up together. So next one, Amber, I think that's it. And then with that, I give it back to you, Amber.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lan. So every week we're going to highlight one value from a social contract. And today was pay it forward. So thank you for sharing that, Lan. I'm very, very excited to introduce Helsum. They are an amazing company and they're doing amazing things. They're very eager today to present. So very excited to see their virtual tour and share their story. So before we get into that, I'm going to share a quick bio of Nic. Nic is the founder and chief executive officer of Helsum, a payments company that gives small businesses an edge by providing lower rates, smarter tools, and by putting a human touch on their service. Nicholas was the lead developer on the company's first software launch, Helsum Commerce. He has been recognized for his contributions to the payment industry and tech economy in Calgary as the Entrepreneur of the Year Prairies Technology, overall category winner in 2018, and as a member of the Avenue Calgary Top 40 Under 40 class of 2019. So Nic, if you are ready, we are ready for you to take us on this awesome virtual tour and to learn more about Helsum and your story.
I'm ready. Can you hear me or yes?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I can see myself on the screen. So look away. Hi, everybody. I'm Nic. I'm the founder and CEO of Helsum. We are a payments company right here in Calgary. So a lot of people think of us for the cool little blue readers, but we also do online payments and everything else. So we'll do a quick tour of our office, and I think after that we're setting up for our Q&A, right? Awesome. And everybody can hear me? Yes, good. Okay. So the office actually is a loop, so it'll be perfect for coming back here after. We'll go this way. We're streaming, by the way, right? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So this is the west side of the office. There is going to be a mixture of software development teams. So this part is our merchant-facing tools. So if you think about us with, the invoicing tools we offer, the point of sales, those are all getting developed by our teams over here. And then as we move forward to this section with the fancy, I don't know, these are kind of sound things. We have our design team. So that's a mixture of UX engineering, visual design for brand, product designers. So we have we do a hybrid work structure at Helsum, and Wednesday is a work from the office, so we can kind of all collaborate together. So you'll see a bit more people today. You're going like this. Hi, Camille. And then we move on to this gets into our marketing team. So you've got the famous, infamous Helsum t-shirts over here. We recently did a rebrand with our new logos. So we have purple shirts and yellow shirts and blue shirts and pink shirts. And we're doing a holiday drive with the Calgary Food Bank. And we are selling all this funky Christmas gear, and proceeds are going to the food bank. So these are awesome Helsum socks.
Oh, someone wants some of the yellow shirts.
Yellow shirts.
They can buy them on the store.
You can buy them on the store, and then the proceeds go to the food bank. So
HelsumHolidayShop.com.
HelsumHolidayShop.com. Thank you, Miranda.
Yep.
We'll put a link in the chat.
Yeah.
So we'll go this way. So it's more of our awesome marketing team. So they help get the word out there of all the things that we're doing at Helsum. As we move into there. As we move over the direction, we've got Rob over here. our COO, deep into whatever a COO does. Then as we move to this way, it's a mixture of our data team. We get into another development team that works on our payment systems and our settlement engines that kind of keeps all these payments going. And then we get into finance, which they work closely together. So we like to mix development teams and operation teams together so that people can, oh, Rob, traffic.
I'm going this way.
So they get to work together. We got Marge over here. Wave. Marge, our CFO. And then as we move this way, so we're doing a loop, as you can tell. There's more of our aquariums, which are kind of the meeting rooms. We have more software teams. Travis over here.
Travis modeling our holiday sweater.
There you go. All going to a good cause. So these teams are working on a mixture of fraud detection systems, CRM systems, and different things that we use to run our business. And then over here, where you get into quieter cubicles, they're teams that operate on the phone. So we have a mixture of our trust and safety teams. And actually, let's go over here. Oh, people are hiding. Trust and safety teams. So they make sure that our merchants are on the up and up and there's no stolen transactions going on. And if we do, hello. And if we do a 180 degree to give you a sense of Calgary. So this is the Sheraton Hotel in, I don't know if we can see through the glass.
Kind of.
Yeah, this is the Sheraton Hotel in Eau Claire. And we can actually see their pool and their hot tub. So sometimes we have some interesting stories that come out of that. And then as we keep moving, oh, hey, Rob again. I'm back. We get to meet the famous, infamous Helsum merchant experience team. So that's our customer service teams. And they make sure that our merchants are well treated and happy and processing every day and that everything stays up. So we're kind of navigating. Tell me if I'm gonna trip on something.
Yeah.
So yeah, we do all of our customer service in-house. That's a really important value here, and making sure that we deliver the best service that we can for our awesome customers. So we are continuing to circle. I think they're doing a job interview here. We are doing a ton of hiring, by the way. So believe this was actually not staged. So I won't make the interview harder by walking in there with a camera because I don't think that's very fair or nice. But we are hiring a ton of people in a ton of different departments. So do check out our career website if you are interested in working in this great office with all these awesome people. So we're getting back to the front of the office. We have not changed our logo on the front wall yet, but it is going to be the new friendlier logo soon. This is our common area. So the idea behind that is that, we have a pretty open workspace, but this is a place that everybody kind of gets to come back and eat and relax and mingle. And we put doors so that we can be loud as we want in here. We're not disrupting anyone. We got Chris over here and Rodolfo. So we are streaming live. And then this gets into our kitchen. I won't open the fridges, but it's mostly some new lunches, some old lunches, and some beer. And then we've got some more swag with some of the old school t-shirts in the front, the classics, Coke Classic and New Coke. We're almost back to the beginning. So there's about 90 of us in the office today, and the office fits about 160, so we're going to be filling that office next year. And then finally, over here is our infrastructure team, which takes care of DevOps. So they make sure that our servers are up and running, that our environments are working and not, staying online. If you actually do a 180 to that screen over there, this is their command center. So they're making sure that all the environment is staying online and that our merchants are happy. And then if we keep going, we're almost back to the beginning. We've done a full loop. Hopefully not everybody's not too disoriented. And then this is my office. It is messy. I apologize. And then So I think I'm just gonna sit down on my computer and we can jump into
Yeah, so now we can see if people have questions.
Awesome. Hannah, what was the link for the food bank merch?
The Helsum, it's helsumholidayshop.com. And I can definitely send that over if you want to share it or put it like in the comments here.
Yeah, for sure. I'll throw it in there.
Perfect.
Um,
Thank you.
Awesome. That was fun.
And then, yeah, we'll get Nick on his computer here. So
Here, I have appeared as one of the participants, and you have to
Okay.
mute feedback. There you go.
We're glad you didn't trip and that we didn't see anything unsavory in the pool.
There you go. We have stories. We have stories.
All right. Amber, do we have any questions? I haven't been looking, honestly. My chat was closed there for a second. Get your questions ready, folks. Throw your hand up, unmute, throw it in the chat, however you prefer to ask. I was just thinking to myself, though, who are your competitors?
That's a good question. So I think when people think about who we compete with, there's kind of two groups. You think about old school banks, Moneris, Chase, TD, things like that. And you think about that old school machine at the front desk. And then you think about some of the newer processors out of Silicon Valley, like Square and Stripe. And how we've really kind of been able to grow this wonderful business and get to the hearts of our merchants is by offering great low rates, amazing customer service, and then this like instant digital first experience. So like no paperwork, no headaches, no contracts. It just works, but you get the nice low rates and the great customer service. And that's what makes the Helsum ship float. And here, I'll put a quick link to our shop for a good cause.
Awesome. We have a question from Adam. Adam, did you want to ask your question that's in the chat, or would you like me to ask it for you?
I can ask it. Nick, I love the content you put out about product development and prototyping, and I wanted to know if you could like walk us through the highlights or the lowlights of like iterating on a POS, compliance, what you had to do to actually were you just running through 3D model prototypes before, and then you got to a workable product? Can you give us the highlights of that?
Yeah, sure. Appreciate the question, Adam. So Adam is talking about our new card reader, our second generation that just came out. By the way, it does have some of the early units have the old logo, and you have to thank the supply chain for that, as we had to order that stuff early. But so they're getting the classic Coke, and then we'll have new Coke soon. Yeah, to answer your question, Adam, we if you look at our readers, like these readers, we go to third-party manufacturers in Asia to get the electronics made, and the certification takes a really long time because you have to kind of certify everything with Visa, MasterCard, and then the PIN debit networks and everything else, right? So we have a separate team that's dealing with those compliance requirements and doing all that testing. That typically takes almost a year to get through. And then the stand itself is actually, that was our first adventure into our own manufacturing, right? So we had to make the big decision we made early is like, are we going to go to China to make this, or are we going to do it here? And we decided to do it here, both because we think it's the right thing to do, and second because it was our first time getting into it, and it would have been just, I think a lot of things that we learned, like is you're dealing with like microns of accuracy, and you have to make a lot of little changes. And it's funny, like if you want to, the molds that hold these kind of like to do plastic moldings, right, are like negative space of like, they're like the opposite. Yeah, exactly, that inject it, right? So if you're like, hey, this thing is not clicking in just right or anything like that, they're like literally like shaving microns off this giant 1,000-pound metal and things like that. So it's been quite an adventure. I'm sure we walked by Graham, one of our team members, that he joined us as a junior project manager, and like within his first week, we're like, you're getting into manufacturing. And that's a little bit how we roll at Helsum, is like we focus on hiring junior people, bottom up, and then give them some pretty giant opportunities and scary challenges. But I think we're a team of builders, we're a city of builders, and it just kind of works out. So thanks for the question.
Awesome.
Thanks for making something here in Canada. Way to go.
Thank you.
Tommy, did you want to ask your question?
Yes, I would. Sorry, I was in an attempt to get a better visual here, and I've been spending the first couple of minutes of the lunch without a lunch working on my what do you call it, my light. So I missed some of the early parts, but I think I've caught enough that the question will still be relevant. First of all, a second, I'm echoing Pete's comments about great that something's being built here. As I looked quickly at your website while you were doing the tour, I'm wondering, have you, with the payment system, have you got capability of, scanning some sort of, maybe a QR code and doing payment, like paying for a good or service via, your, I guess, your payment system or your processing system? Just wondering if you could comment with that, and apologies for kind of limping along with this question. I'm usually a little tighter, but I've got a super high wattage bulb facing me, and I'm not all that comfortable with it right now.
No worries.
So I'm going to shut up.
Yeah, thanks, Tommy, for the question. We do actually. You're just kind of like setting me up. I appreciate it. So we have one of the features of our platform. So when merchants sign up with Helsum, they get all of these tools included, so we don't upcharge for anything else. So that's everything from invoicing to a point of sale to recurring and even an online store. And one of the functionalities that we have is that merchants can generate a QR code that links to what we call a payment page, right? So they can print and it can be for anything. It could be to register a customer and then like save their card on file. It could be to onboard them on a recurring plan. So for example, you could walk by a gym, and a gym that's with us, if they want members to like sign up on the spot, they can actually like print this QR code, put it in their window, and then somebody can go with their phone, click the link, and then they'll see the registration page, they'll see the price, and then they can use Google Pay or any of our, and just pay. So yeah, that's something we rolled out during the, as part of the pandemic, because we saw the adaptation of QR codes just kind of blowing up. And it's been super successful, and we're really happy we did it. Thanks for the question.
Follow-up question to that. I just got back from a trip outside of Canada. And you're absolutely right. QR codes are just exploding everywhere, and it's pretty cool to see. And I was just trying to catch the functionality. I work with a startup that is introducing a new form of media, and I will send you my coordinates, as I'd really like to speak about the possibilities of working together.
That sounds great. And to anyone that's interested in reaching out, I do accept all LinkedIn requests. That's part of kind of contributing back to the ecosystem. So don't be afraid to reach out to me on LinkedIn, and we'll trade notes. So
perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Tommy. All right, we have a couple questions from the chat. When did you start Helsum, and what prompted you to start it?
I started Helsum when I was 23, so it was over 12 years ago. But we started off as a very different company. So what the Helsum that you see today is very much the Helsum 2.0 that kind of restarted about 15 months ago. The first Helsum was I wouldn't call us a startup. It was a small business, and we were a reseller of merchant services. So we resold some of the bigger bank services, but we put our own kind of twist on it and customer service and everything. But it was a much more narrow set of services, and it came from the payments, or my love of payments came from just, you get to be at the heartbeat of every business. So on the surface, you think about payments and you're like, oh, that sounds like a boring industry to work for, right? But if you just go past the surface, you realize like we get to work with organizations that make malt, and we get to work with breweries, and we get to work with restaurants, we get to work with accountants, we get to work with like every business in the world ultimately needs payments, and we get kind of like a backstage access to like the wonderful world that is all these industries, right? So I just fell in love with it, and then we got to kind of relaunch Helsum about 15 months ago as our own payments company, and things have really kind of been going on the up and up ever since. So thanks for the question.
Awesome. Thanks, Nick. Mushir, did you want to ask your question?
Yeah, thank you very much. Hi, Nick. It's very interesting to know about your systems and the portfolio. Just wondering if you guys are doing some helping oil and gas industry too regarding automation related. Why I'm asking, I'm just completing my ITM program from University of Calgary, sponsored by Calgary Economic Development. So there are a lot of companies which are in at the moment helping oil and gas in doing automation in their processes. So just wondering if you guys are also something working on that as well?
No, it's a good question, but no. So I mean, our main market or who we service or who we help is primarily small business, small and medium-sized businesses across Canada and the US that have a need to accept payments. So whether that's credit card payments or bank payments. In terms of oil and gas, we do service, a number of smaller gas stations, but that's as close, which is, obviously quite different than what you're working on. But that's as close as we get to the industry. It's primarily as small, medium-sized businesses.
Okay. Just one more question I have.
Sure.
Regarding you were talking about some automation or the manufacturing companies you work, it is still again the payment systems you would be working for, like you mentioned about the DevOps, one group which you're developing the DevOps in your organization. So
yeah, I mean, it's all of our software development teams. They're either working on merchant-facing tools, so the software that merchants use, like invoicing and things like that, or they're working. We have over a team of 40 that works on our back-end system. So that's if you think about payments, it's like an iceberg, right? It's like you tap the card and they're like, oh, that was nice, but underneath that, there's networks and settlement systems
iceberg.
And fraud, and yeah, there's just so much stuff that needs to happen for that to happen. So
okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hannah, did you want to go next? Hannah, are you there?
Yep. Sorry, I was just trying to get my mic to work. I'm curious about if you know anything about Alipay from Asia, especially specifically China, where it's not even a QR code. You link your bank to it, you put in a number, and then you kind of like wave your phone and the person gets the money. Like, what are your thoughts on that? I think it's a pretty cool system. I don't know too much about it, but yeah, I would just like to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I think that there's two big kind of payment wallet, and I'll make it short. Two big payment wallets in Asia. There's Alipay and there's Ant Financial, and I think that they didn't have any infrastructure over there. They didn't have the traditional kind of card systems or debit networks or Interact or anything like that. So they kind of leapfrogged some of that and went straight to kind of like a P2P wallet systems where it's really easy to kind of trade between two people, which is great. But there are some downsides to that, is that they've become the way that the Canadian and the US systems are structured, especially with Visa, MasterCard, there's pros and cons to it, but there's definitely these high trust points where if your credit card gets stolen or if something happens, you can go to your bank or your card issue and you feel pretty protected that something's gonna, that they're gonna take care of you and kind of reverse it, right? Versus I think what's happening over there is that you have, it's almost like if PayPal was running the entire show. And I think a lot of us, I'm biased, but a lot of us have had experiences where all of a sudden you're like, hey, I can't get anybody on the phone and I'm just one of literally 500 million customers. And I don't know if I would feel comfortable having my entire financial, my bank accounts and everything like that with like one giant entity like that. So I think that the system where they kind of trade, where you can do kind of P2P payments is really, really cool. But there's also a lot of kind of downfalls to what says happened with two giants over there. But thank you for the question.
Thank you.
Awesome. Peter?
And the fear of what if they don't like you anymore, and then what do you do?
Yep. There's a whole lot. That's a whole other can of worms. So
just Canada right now?
Canada and the US actually. So both countries. Yeah.
Well?
Yeah.
Thank you. Great. I love Alberta companies.
Appreciate that. Thanks, Peter.
Alan, did you want to ask your question?
So good on you for manufacturing here in Canada as opposed to China. I think that's really awesome and really great to see a successful startup. I was just wondering, because I think I heard you say at the very beginning that you don't have no paper, no headaches, no contracts. Like, so how, how do you arrange things with the customer so that they know what the expectations are and they maintain, like that you guys have the same glue, if you want to call it?
Yeah, I mean, our mission, and we very much live and breathe it, our mission is to be the most loved payments company. And I think a lot of people feel like that's almost an oxymoron. I mean, payments companies can be, up there with telcos and insurance companies in terms of how many people have been dragged through the mud with them. And we're really trying to spin that on its head. And one of the ways we do that is we put transparency at the forefront of everything. So when it comes to our rates, when it comes to our contracts, everything's on the website, everything is super clearly shown, and it's all self-service, right? So I think people really kind of get a good feel of who we are and also our reputation. I would invite all of you to Google us and search online, and we're really proud of the reviews we have out there. So I think ultimately merchants are looking for, I think it's the ethos behind it all. It's like, I wish there was a company that would offer me the services I need in payments, but that just didn't operate the way that a Moneris operates. And that's been enough to really kind of differentiate us in the market. And on top of that, we have our great service and our great digital tools. So I don't know if that answers your question, Alan.
So aside from that, and I don't really know that much about the business that you're in, obviously. So I'm assuming that most of the other banking that a business does, they do outside of you, rather you process the payments, right?
Yeah, I mean, we allow businesses to accept card transactions. So we very much compete with the Monerises and the PayPal of the world. Yeah.
Okay. So then do you hold on to the money for a certain length of period of time, or does it go from the customer through your payment system to a bank account that your client has?
Very much the latter. So we, you can expect your deposits for 1 to 2 business days in Canada and US, and then so you'll see that those transaction amounts going straight to your bank account, right?
Okay, got it. Yep. Okay, cool.
Thanks for the question.
Thank you.
Hey, Nick, thanks for being here. I have a quick question regarding...
Been a while?
Yeah, no kidding. I'd love to come see your new offices sometime. I have a question. We have an amazing Calgary success story called Bitvo that specializes in cryptocurrency, and they translate between fiat currency and cryptocurrency, but you don't have the ability to use a credit card to make a crypto investment. I was wondering if you had any thoughts about being able to allow people to pay with cryptocurrency, in which case a perfect partnership with Bitvo would be people could use credit cards to buy crypto through you, and they could use crypto to buy merchant stuff through you. So it would be a really symbiotic relationship. I'm just wondering if you had any considerations or thoughts regarding cryptocurrency.
Yeah, I think it's a super interesting space and definitely something we're always kind of paying attention to. I think that where it gets tricky when you bring crypto and payments is that crypto has kind of like on-ramps and off-ramps, right? So like this is kind of when you translate, like you said, your fiat into crypto, and either it's a speculative investment or whatever you're using it for, and then kind of bring it back, right? But those on-ramps or off-ramps, whether it's through, some exchanges will use credit cards, some exchanges will use, e-transfers and different things like that. Like you're adding friction, you're adding time, you're adding fees, right? And then for us in the world of SMBs accepting payments, like they're already sensitive to whether we're charging 9 cents or 8 cents a transaction, right? So like that's the because it impacts their bottom line, right? So the types of customers that we deal with are very much they're small businesses. They work hard for every part of their margin, and like even the difference between a 9 cents and an 8 cent transaction matters to them. So I think that's where you haven't seen much of that success in payments in cryptos, because like the room for margin and the room for speed as well. Like I think we've gotten used to the idea of like you can go to a restaurant and like tap your phone and it works within For example, when we first launched our systems, our transactions were taking about 5 seconds for tap, and we reduced that to less than 2 seconds. But when it was at 5 seconds for the first few months, we were hearing it, and justifiably so. So that's how sensitive the entire space is. So I think that's where you're seeing. I think crypto's got a lot of interesting things going on, but that's where I think why you haven't seen payments in crypto really take off.
Right. Well, on that note, you may want to have a conversation with BitVo because they operate like a bank. And so they're managing everything through their internal system. And then they only go out to the blockchains to do the completed transaction. So everything's really quick. But yeah, that might be worth a conversation anyway, even just for fun.
I'd love an intro, and I love meeting other Calgary entrepreneurs anywhere in any space. So cool. I'd love an intro. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Cheers.
Sorry, Amber, I threw up my hand, but I wanted to go with a second question if I could. Nic, now I'm kind of just taking it all in. I made a comment about FinTech alive and kicking here in Cowtown. It's so awesome to see, and I've sent you a LinkedIn note, and I think you'll appreciate it as somebody who's worked with the card payment system, and I have had a history. Actually at the largest Schedule I bank, RBC, introducing a product some years ago that was too good for its time. But it's always a question of timing. I got to ask, and knowing the way the folks in the banks look at things both in Toronto and Ottawa, I know that people have said, be careful, don't wake up the bear. Have you had, let's just say, those kind of calls saying, watch out for your space, like stay in your lane, wondering if you could comment on that at all?
Yeah, I think it's a good question, Tommy. I think that we had, back when I, years ago, when I started the first version of this, we had a really, really hard time making bank partnerships in Canada. And actually some of our first partnerships with American banks, they were just more willing to take risk. Nowadays, I think because of our bigger size, that hasn't been as much the issue. But in terms of like threats or anything like that, certainly not. In terms of like, we certainly know that we're on their radar. But I think that I actually get to meet executives from banks and from other kind of legacy payment providers and things like that all the time, and overall, like I think it happens in any industry. Like as big as payments is, most industries it's a small world, right? Like it's like you get to know the people pretty well, and ultimately, while I think overall companies over time can kind of lose their way, I think the people that work in the industries are well-meaning. And I get to meet kind of wonderful people all the time from backgrounds at banks and things like that. So I wouldn't say that I'm certainly not walking around with eyes behind the back of my head. So.
Yeah, no, I wasn't meaning that by any stretch, but the big banks have something called the Bank Act. And the expression that you've heard about the only people that can do banking or the business of banking are banks that are regulated, right? So we're running into that gray area where some companies have had tremendous success, and like let's be clear, the lobby, the financial institution lobby, is there to protect the financial institutions for the most part, not the upstarts, because they're the ones, that their shareholders are requiring, returns, right? And they'd rather, I think, those shareholders, if I could sort of categorize them on a whole, would rather, this kind of cool technology be incorporated, and then basically a bank goes and buys you.
Yeah, I think there are banks out there that are really looking to the future. For example, we made a partnership recently with Connect First, which we're super excited about. We're now their official payment processor. and they have wonderful team there. So I think that there's a lot of small and big banks that are starting to kind of really wake up to what fintechs are doing, and instead of trying to maybe roll them over, they're looking to partner with them, and we certainly welcome that. Yeah. But thank you for the question, Tommy.
Look forward to the conversation to come.
Sounds great.
Well, why don't we head into some rooms and do just that? I will open some breakout rooms. We'll probably have time for a few rounds, and yeah, let's open them up and get at her. Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Hannah. And let's keep the conversation going.
Well, thank you, everyone.
Shortly.
Back, everyone. Hope you had a good time networking, making some collisions, connections.
That was fun.
That's good. I'm glad.
Yeah, and Amber, you're testing our speed dating skill sets. This is
Perfect.
like speak really quick, and then
Perfect. I love it.
No time to go deep. We gotta just meet new people. I want to make it, we're going into community announcements now, and I just wanted to make a quick reminder about the Slack channel. So once you've signed the social contract, you gain access to the Slack channel. You've heard it before if you've been around. Make sure that you poke around to the different workspaces. Like there's one there for events. There's one there for entrepreneurs that should be probably seeing a lot more conversation than it does. There's ones for, I don't know, all sorts of things. So use the channels instead of crowding the general channel, which I'm definitely guilty of, but I don't know, I just did it. There's an introduction channel, so please introduce yourself. But I will say this, please don't use it to just pitch your company. We absolutely 100% want to support everyone's work. But the spirit of the rainforest is to do it in a free help, give back mentality. So if you have something to give back in that spirit, absolutely. If you're looking for help for something, that is where you go. Post it in there. Everybody, majority are online on Slack in some capacity. Maybe they have their rainforest notifications turned off, but most are on Slack a lot in this community. So please go there to ask for help and to give back. Peter has an announcement.
Yes, thank you very much. So our very own Crystal Malden is putting on a Community Now mental health event on December the 15th. Now she is selling tickets, but this is going to be an all-day event that is phenomenally represented by some of the leading thinkers in mental health and wellness here in the province and in Canada. Our very own Crystal Phillips is going to be there. Blaze Hunter, Jade, and Kathy Albert will be presenting their journey in mental health. And I think this will be like an extraordinarily great way to spend an in-person meeting here in Calgary and talking about mental health and mostly how to mental wellness and how to keep our brains in check. So a super good event, and I hope everybody feels that would be worthwhile to come out and join us and get a ticket. So it's posted here in the chat, and thank you very much. And I was told to tell a joke. What did the bartender say to? No, what did the duck say to the bartender?
What?
Put it on my bill.
Quack quack. Okay. Good one, Peter. Cameron, go ahead.
Hi, so I've had the good luck of speaking with a few different people about the community events that I've been putting on through the Hubble Incubator. And I'm going to post a link in the chat. We're running an event this Thursday for free with Ali Knoll of Resume Free. I'm going to be talking about how to hire outside of your sphere of influence and when to do that. So when you're building a team, that is a very precarious position because you're now going outside of those people you know and introducing a bit more risk there. So she'll be putting on an 1.5-hour session. It's virtual, so you can access it anywhere, and it's free. And feel free to follow us on LinkedIn. The Hubble Incubator has its own LinkedIn page where I post about the events every week, and you'll notice I've been putting it in the Slack events channel. And actually today I will be posting a YouTube video of a past session, so you can get a bit of a taste of the experience. We do have little breakout sessions and stuff, and we don't record it during that time because some of that information might be a little bit more private. So you can have a little taste of that when I post it today on Slack.
Awesome. Thanks, Cameron. Let's connect. I want to hear more about the Hubble Incubator. I just want to quickly say thanks to Nick and Hannah if they have to head off into Helsum for sharing their awesome space and story with us today. So thanks, guys. And then Nicole, we'll hand it over to you.
Thanks. Just real quick, we are still taking participants and applications for a Bold Leadership cohort in January. So that starts January 25th. Bold Leadership is a new program that we launched this year that helps businesses transform their business digitally. Thanks.
Awesome. That's AWE, right, Nicole? Awesome. Thank you so much. That's great. Alberta Women Entrepreneurs. Okay, so I think that might be it for, I'll put the announcement in for the podcast. So thanks to everyone who joined us last Thursday for the podcast awards. That was super fun. The recording will be up if you want to check it out. Everyone have a good rest of the week, and we'll see you next Wednesday. We'll keep the room open a bit if you want to stick around and chat more.